Alright, I want to briefly chat to you about your exam, okay? To begin with, the exam is Wednesday at, let me just check. Oops, I just lost it. What am I looking for? Mid-year exam. No. Better not show you that. That's my draft. Here we go. So it is Wednesday morning at 8:50.
8:50.
Yep, Wednesday 8:50. Now, you will have 150 minutes plus 15 minutes at the beginning, which is reading time. Okay, now, sorry, now, how should you use this reading time? I do think it is important for you to flip through all of the booklets. There's 3 of them, okay? There's 3 sections. Flip through them all, alright, and have a look at the questions, because it is important to know that. Then what I would do is I would start in the booklet that you feel most comfortable in. Alright, start with the easy stuff, then go to the harder stuff. So, what have you got? You've got 3 sections. And they should each take about 50 minutes. What have we got? Number 1, trig. Number 2, bivariate data. Number 3, sequences and series. Now, to be honest, sequences and series is probably the one I'm least looking for in some ways, because you're going to have a test afterwards. So I'm sort of viewing the mid-year exam as like your first go at it, kind of like your test, and then in week 10 when you do a sequences and series test, I'll probably give that a little more weighting because you will have had a bit more time for that. Okay? So, these are the 3 sections. Sequences and series, well, that should be fairly fresh. Okay? We're just doing that now. Bivariate data, still reasonably familiar because we just debriefed the test, yesterday? Okay? So that should be fairly familiar. Trig, on the other hand, that's probably going to be the one that you might have forgotten the most. I also think that trigonometry, generally speaking, can be the one that students spend the most time on. Okay? It can be one of those ones where if you kind of get stuck on a question, you can spend a lot of time on there. So, I'm not saying not to do it first. I'm not saying what order to do it in. But whatever you want to do it in that. Now, it's not going to be that after 50 minutes we take one of these away from you. You've got the whole time to do all of those sections. So you could spend half an hour here, an hour here, and then, whatever on the next one. It doesn't really matter. It's however you want to use your time. However, please do try and stick to the time limits indicated on the questions. So, you might have noticed on that exam question we just did, it had approximately 12 minutes there, and all of the questions that are on your exam will have that on them. Okay? It's basically 1 mark equals 1 minute. So if it's 12 minutes, that's 12 marks. If it's 10 minutes, 10 marks, 5 minutes, 5 marks. Now, if a question is worth 1 mark, no working out required. Okay? If it is more than 1 mark, though, you must show some working out, otherwise you'll get marked down. Okay? So if it's 2, 3 marks, you need to show some sort of working out. Alright, but for 1 mark questions, you don't need to. How should you study? Firstly, I'll go here. What should you study? Number 1, tests and assignments. That's number 1. Why? Because those tests and assignments are a bit of a precursor to the types of questions you will see in an exam. It's going to give you an idea of what sort of things we're looking for. However, you can't only use the tests and assignments, particularly the tests, because we can't fit everything into a test, so there's going to be some things that will obviously need to be covered that just haven't been in the test. So don't think that the test is everything, because there's simply not enough time in the test to assess everything. Okay? But I do think it's a really good place to start, and it will highlight for you particular types of questions that might be asked. Okay? Number 2, I think to get an idea of the major parts of each topic, this contents page is a pretty good place to start. Each of these subheadings is kind of like a different type of problem. Okay? So you've sort of got Pythagoras theorem, then right-angled trigonometry, angles of elevation, bearings, involving 2 triangles. These are kind of like your main sections of each topic. And if you can look through those in each of them and be able to describe what you would do, it's going to put you in good stead. For bivariate data, don't worry too much about set 1. Okay, set 1 was a lot of introductory things to do with linear graphing and things like that. You're really not going to necessarily be asked questions about that. Mark?
2 questions.
Yep.
Do each book have the same amount of questions in it?
Not the same amount of questions, but the same amount of marks.
And do you have to answer all of them, or there's a set you have to pick from? Like, do you pick?
Yes, you have to pick. Yes, it's not like some subjects where you can pick. It is all of them, but obviously if you don't know how to do it, then leave it blank. But no, you don't get a choice as to which questions you do. Yep. Okay. Good questions. So, set 1 on bivariate data, I wouldn't focus on too much. Okay, that was more to do with the fundamentals and basics of linear modelling, not really to do with the types of questions that you'll find. Okay. The only thing that you might do is to find the equation between 2 points. So, for instance, oh no, that's actually here in line of best fit. Yeah, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. Okay? So, number 2 is to look at unit contents pages. Number 3, for bivariate data, I'll put it under here. Make a list of template responses. Okay? Particularly for bivariate data, there's a lot of template responses. Things that I'm looking to see. So, make a list of them on a piece of paper so you can memorise them. Things like correlation. Okay? There is a strong correlation between blah, blah, blah. Things like making predictions. What makes something unreliable? What makes it reliable? Things like with residuals, what things are you looking for to work out whether something is well modelled by a linear equation or not well modelled by a linear equation? For deseasonalised data, how do you describe a particular value in the deseasonalised data? There is lots of these templated responses that we're looking for specific wording of. So go through, pick those out, and make a little sort of cheat sheet of responses. Number 3 is to know your formula sheet. I remember in particular in your trig test, there was an equation to work out the area of a triangle, and the amount of people that didn't, it was right there in front of your faces, and the amount of people that just didn't use it was ridiculous. The same with working out the Central Standard Time for Adelaide. That's on your information sheet. And the amount of people, again, that just decided to, do their own thing. So know your information sheet. Know what every equation is there for. Okay? Now, in particular with yours, can you please get out your sequences and series one? Sorry, your information sheet. Sorry. Oh, actually, I've got it again. Never mind. Now, there is one thing to note. For sequences and series, have a look here. Do not worry about these two equations here. Okay? The bottom two, annuities in arrears and annuities in advance, don't worry about that for now. Okay? So the bottom two here, if you're looking at them going, what the heck, I don't know what they are, that's okay. We didn't cover that, that was at the end of the unit, and I discussed that this annuities part, we actually cover in finance now, not really in sequences. So don't worry about that. The good thing is, it gives you all these graphs, okay? You're looking at linear growth and decay, and it says they are arithmetic sequences. Exponential growth and decay, they are geometric graphs. Steady state, you've got things to do with geometric, series and sequences, arithmetic sequences and series, and you've got your difference equations down the bottom here. So please, make sure you know it. Obviously, you've got bivariate data. Look at what's there. It shows you your table of different correlation values. It gives you the template for the coefficient of determination. Alright? And it's got how to calculate residuals there and your DC as well as data. So make sure you know it. Number 4 is to read your calculator manual. Read the whole thing for the 3 sections we've done. Read it, because how many of you, actually don't put your hand up, didn't know how to plot residuals? Okay, have a think about that. That was in your calculator manual. It was something that you should have been able to do. So, make sure you read it so you know, make sure you read it so you know what you can do. Alright? Number 5, this is more for in-test, so in-exam stuff, is here. I'm going to write skip questions that you have no idea how to do. To begin with, come back at the end. Okay? There is no point wasting all of your time on a question you don't know how to do if you run out of time to do easy questions that you do know how to do. There's nothing more frustrating than being working on a question and they say pens down, you flip over the page and you're like, wow, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 marks that I knew how to do, but I just didn't get there. Okay? So if you really don't know how to do the question, I'm not just saying if the first time you read through it, you're just like, oh, don't know, then skip it. But if you read through it, you have a think about it, and you're like, well, I just really don't know what to do, move on. Okay? The other thing, and the last thing to note is, this mid-year exam is not the be-all and end-all. Okay? If you get a C or a B or whatever on a mid-year exam, it does not necessarily provide you with your end-of-year mark. Okay? At the end of the year, you'll get to do some retests to improve your mark. So don't stress too much. This is high school or college subjects. This is not your life, right, flashing in front of your eyes. However, do make sure you do your best. But just put it into perspective in terms of your life and realise that this mid-year exam is not going to define you, is not going to change your life drastically. So, of course, work hard, but put it into perspective, okay? Lastly, the last thing is this, on a practical note. The night before your exam, go to bed early, get some good sleep. Alright? Make sure that you eat well, sleep well. Make sure that you just do what you can. Now, we'll finish there.